Okay, fellas, we are in South Africa. Here's a map. Beautiful place, lovely people. If you from overseas, Europe, America, you want to visit Africa, I think South Africa is one of the great contenders where you're not really gonna get lost. You're gonna find yourself, no doubt about it. It's a beautiful place, so much things to see, so much diversity, amazing. Okay, now we're talking about South Africa today. President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, as we all know, he went to have a discussion with Donald Trump. Before he went to America, this was him talking.
When I meet him, I will tell him. I will say, you, Donald Trump, you are even worse because your forebears.
When he went to America, things were different. This is how he was in front of Trump.
They ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network, and you're a disgrace.
The EFF, the political party of Julius Malema, this man, yes, you know him, right? Yeah, they asked him questions on how he behaved in America. And was the trip actually a successful trip? Did you achieve the reason for which you went to America? Please explain to us.
Acting Honorable Maotwe. Honorable Maotwe,
You have to protect me.
you, honorable members, please give me the opportunity. Honorable Maotwe, you are now 40 seconds over your time.
Deputy Speaker, I was disrupted by these people.
No, honorable member, there
President,
was
you failed
no
to protect
interruption.
the
Honorable
constitutional
Maotwe, will you please
Unlike President
sit down? Honorable
Maotwe,
Maotwe, I am now cautioning you. Honorable Maotwe, will you please leave the chamber? Honorable Maotwe, I have been cautioning you a number of times. Now I'm asking you because you are ignoring and disrespecting the chair. Honorable Maotwe, I have asked you to please leave the chamber.
Okay, you can see she's been thrown out of the room to allow the president to speak. Let's hear what Mr. President has to say.
The issue of relations between South Africa and the United States was an issue that occupied many people's minds in our country. And many had raised concerns about the deteriorating relationship between our two countries, having recognized the important role that both our countries play in each other's economy, apart from the various political relations, diplomatic relations. And we realized that the impact.
Okay, could have been, would have been a reaction in terms of economics in South Africa. Should Mr. Ramaphosa stood strong as he did in the beginning?
Unless we were able to repair or reset the relationship between our two countries. And to this end, in a telephone conversation with President Trump, when we were discussing other global matters such as Russia and Ukraine, we agreed that we should meet. And it was to this end that we traveled to the United States with a delegation that all of you would have seen as it was broadly televised. We really had three objectives. The first was to reset the relationship.
Reset the
between
relationship.
two trading partners that have had dealings over many years, and
Okay.
where we invest in each other's economies. The United States has some 601 companies that are invested in South Africa.
The United States has 601 companies invested in South Africa. Now, if you had questioned, if you wanted to find out as to why wouldn't Mr. Ramaphosa keep this stance?
When I meet him, I will tell him. I will say, you, Donald Trump, you are even worse because your forebears came to America.
Maybe because Mr. Ramaphosa thought about the 601 companies that are American, that are operating and contributing to the South African economy. Should one, as a leader of a nation, just throw that away just because you want freedom and independence? Let's go.
And we similarly have a number of companies that have invested in the United States. A number of our jobs, some of the sectors that would be affected would be agriculture, the auto sector, and the steel and aluminum sector.
Okay, South Africa exports a lot of fruit, a lot of product of agriculture to the United States of America at a very low tax price or none at AGOA. So South Africa makes a lot of revenue through that. South Africa exports cars, BMWs, Mercedes that are produced in Eastern Cape. Yeah, these are Mercedes produced in South Africa, C-Class, that are usually sold in America. Should all of that be thrown away just because Africans want freedom? Let's go.
And a number of other sectors that make machines, and the mining sector where we sell critical minerals to the United States would be adversely affected if the relations were not straightened out. So it was to this end that we were motivated to reset that relationship. The second objective was to set up a process of engagement between the United States and South Africa. There had hitherto been a process of disengaging, where we were no longer really engaging at a government level.
Okay, now remember, the United States of America expulsed or sent back the South African ambassador to the US because he made a comment. This is what he said.
I think what Donald Trump is launching is an assault on incumbency, those who are in power.
So he made a comment saying Trump's policy is not, it's not to make sure. So yeah, we don't agree with him. And America was very angry and sent him back. And there was literally no communication between the United States of America and South Africa. The communication was being made on Twitter. So this is a way to reset that so we can find again a way to engage with each other. Let's go.
To deal with issues that governments normally deal with on an ongoing basis. And we wanted to engage on tariffs, on investments, and related matters. And the third objective was to discuss the G20 and to highlight the important role that a country like the United States, which is the largest economy in the world, plays in the activities of the G20, which we are so deeply immersed in and having the responsibility of leading.
Okay, remember, South African organized G20, to which Donald Trump promised not to attend, okay, because of the relationship South Africa has right now with Russia. And should the South African be bullied? No, absolutely not. Now, should the South African president try to find a way to make things easy diplomatically so that the country, the citizen, the people, the mothers, the children don't suffer directly from the American impact? That's a very good question that I would like you to answer. Let's go.
And that it's important for the United States to engage with the G20 process and ultimately to entice the leader of the United States to come to the Leader Summit at the end of the year. So broadly, those were our objectives. And there could be a fourth one, which would be just the promotion of investment by American.
Okay, so do you feel like Trump initially said, I'm not coming to G20 events because of the situation with South Africa?
But the South African situation is very, very dangerous and very bad for a lot of people.
And now, after the trip that has been done by President Ramaphosa, Trump will come. Do you feel like Mr. Ramaphosa has bent over for Donald Trump? Or do you feel like Mr. Ramaphosa has made a sacrifice that a leader should make for his people? Maybe temporarily. Let's go.
Companies and South African companies in each other's economies. So we do believe that we achieved those objectives. The engagement with the American government has started. Soon after we left Washington, the engagement has now commenced, and there are discussions that are happening in relation to tariffs, in relation to investments, and we believe that we have reset the relationship despite what we could have seen on television. We were able to have a much more meaningful discussion and meeting with President Trump and his representatives during the quiet room where we had lunch together and had meaningful exchanges on a number of issues. And we do believe that the engagement will continue through the G20 process.
Okay, Now, I want to know how you feel about this. How do the Russians feel after being very good friend with South Africa for a long time? Do they understand what's happening? Number two, don't you think perhaps Mr. Ramaphosa has had a phone call, a long one, with Vladimir Putin to make him understand his moves before you get angry at him? Number three, let me know, do you think he's going against the roots that most African people, Pan-Africanists, people that want to cut off ties completely with the West? Or do you think Mr. Ramaphosa has to do what he has to do as a leader to guide his people toward the right place? Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. God bless.